we are live.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Joe, do you want to know why some businesses succeed and some businesses fail? Why some businesses grow and some businesses don't? That's what this show is all about. Business, business, business. And we are back after being gone for a fortnight. Ooh,
that's
look
a
at that.
fortnight
Very
hiatus.
European.
Fortnight.
Yeah, we are back. Congratulations.
I said that to somebody last night. Well, I will do it in a fortnight's time. They looked at me. It's a Dutch person. They said, "I don't know what you mean by a fortnight." But
they clearly don't listen to our show.
Oh,
no.
We try to teach people, and they don't learn. And we have a special guest with us again this month.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk
Gandalf
about
once again. Blockchain
Yes.
Gandalf is here with us.
We're going to talk about the blockchain and some other things, but first, apparently, we're going to talk about Dubai. Because apparently I'm part of the tourist bureau now for Dubai. So we were just talking about the fun and excitement that I had the week and a half I was there. It was very exciting. I was telling everybody, we ran into more Russian billionaires at dinner in one night than I've ever run into in my entire life. So it was very, very interesting.
Over your life, yeah.
Yeah, and I hang in that circle, but there are a lot of Russians there.
There are a lot there, yeah.
There are a lot of Russian guys that are probably, I would say, from 50 to 100, and their girlfriends are 18 to 25. So kudos to them. So I thought that was very nice. So I was like, bravo, gentlemen. Bravo.
The 18 to 25-year-olds or the Russians? I'm just trying to
either or. The other thing that we were talking about, which is interesting, and Gandalf had to look it up, is the Lamborghini Urus is the Toyota of Dubai. Like, there are so many of those that you, after a while, you get numb of seeing them. It's like, oh, look, there's another Urus. There's another one. And another. And we kept going on. So we would see, and then the Rolls-Royce Culligan, which is their SUV, became the other Toyota of Dubai, which is funny when you're talking about a $500,000 car, right? And then you saw Ferraris, of course, but different ones, Lamborghinis, different ones. We saw a couple Bugattis. The one thing we did not see was an Aston Martin. And we were all talking about that's because of their build quality, which really is a shame because they build a beautiful car. Like this new DB11 that's a 7, they only made 300 of them. It's a 707 car. Absolutely gorgeous car. But when you get inside, it's all plastic. It's sort of like, hence why Rolls-Royce is doing better. So yes, we got to do a lot of fun things, had good meetings, and now we're back in the land of, I don't know what we're in the land of here in America.
Land of opportunity, yeah.
Land of opportunity, yes.
We're in the land of the mind.
Lost dollars, lost and found dollars.
We're in the land of Mein Kampf to come. If somebody gets in that looks like an orange orangutan, and he's telegraphing that, and everybody just seems to think he's wonderful. And I'm just like, I saw this movie and I read the books. It's not going to end well, So it'll be interesting to see what happens in America coming up in the next 8 months with this gentleman maybe coming to power.
It'll be very interesting. Very interesting times. It's unfortunate that we don't have better candidates. I'll just leave it at
I have a dog. She's 2 years old, and theoretically, she's a better candidate. So, listen, I'm nothing against.
Be 35 though.
You have to be 35, but in doggy years. So,
Then it's still divided by 7, right? So your dog's got 3 more years to go.
Well, she'll still be a better candidate in 3 more years.
Next election.
If Trump becomes, there won't be a next one because he'll be a dictator. He'll be like a Putin. He'll just constantly win. His kids will win, and I think there'll be civil war. The interesting part about this is I have no malice towards either of the elderly gentlemen, but I do think we need to have term limits. I really think that when you hit 70 years old, that's the retirement age in America. Right? That's when you get your Social Security. I think if that's the retirement age, then it's 70 years old, whether you're a congressman, a senator, the president, a Supreme Court justice, none of this for life crap anymore. It's like you're 70, you're done. Thank you for your service. Now get out. Go play golf. Go sleep with an 18-year-old. Watch what the Russian billionaires are doing. Go learn a lesson. But after that, I think it's like we're very glad you were here. It's time to go. And why people want to keep adding 80-year-old and 90-year-old guys to run the government. I just don't get it. But what do I know? So,
well, it tells you something about power, doesn't it?
Sure.
Right? I mean, most people I know are looking forward to, at some point, quitting their job and having a break, maybe going and seeing the world and stuff. The fact that these people can't let go tells you something about what being in power is like. So,
but I mean, I know a lot of powerful people that have more money than God, literally.
Well,
and
I'm going to be.
Wait, let me finish. Wait, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Be quiet. Let me finish. The problem is they have lots of power, but they also know how to downplay their power, and they're not trying to show everybody they have the biggest dick in the room. They know they have power. It seems to me that these guys are like, they don't have anything outside of this. So their problem is they don't have anything to show. Trump especially, right? He's got all these legal problems. Biden, he served his public service since 40 years, 50 years. And I think this is his big hurrah. That's like, all right, you're a president, go away. And I think that's part of the issue we have in America. I don't think people understand when it's time to step down.
One of the other issues we have in America is that we don't stop talking because of the adverts.
Get the freedom and the flexibility of remote work in the lucrative tech industry. Bend your life around the world. Bandicoot is the premier course and community for thriving in a remote tech career. Join the revolution today. Bandicoot.com, official partner of the Lost Dollar Business Club.
See, I have all this power. I have all this power. People screaming in my ears, "Run the advert! Run the advert!" Okay, so run the advert.
And you listen.
And I listened. Yeah,
we got to pay the bills. But I just had to get that in because I knew what you were going to do. So, and then I got to take my pants off. So I feel like Archie Bunker. No, so there you go.
Yeah.
Who cares?
All right. Gandalf, what have you got? What have you got for us new in the Web3 world? Because I know that you've got a new device that you have on your desk now. You've got some new technologies you might want to mention to us.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody who is looking at the cryptocurrency and blockchain world at the moment can't fail to have noticed that the Bitcoin price, the granddaddy of all cryptocurrencies, has soared over the last few weeks. We've been wondering when that's going to happen with all the exchange traded funds coming online and sucking up all the available Bitcoin that's being mined and that can be bought on exchanges. And one of the things I noticed, I run this little device called a nerd miner. It's so I don't know if you can see that.
Kinda.
Yeah. So oh, there we go. I think that kind of caught it. Maybe if I turn the light off. There
you go.
There you go. You kind of got it.
But, anyway, so that's it's a little microprocessor. It's called an ESP32. It's not very powerful. And they wrote some open source software so that it can actually mine Bitcoin. And don't get excited. It's going to find a block in about 20 trillion years, I think I calculated, that low power. But it's got a nice display. And they added a new feature recently, which is to look up and show the current Bitcoin price in dollars. And I think that sort of tells you something about how things are changing here, that when they go and chuck that in on a little device like that, it's that important. It kind of reflects a shift. Now, my take on the price is I'm not particularly bothered on a daily basis. If you're bothered about Bitcoin price on a daily basis, you're speculating, you don't really get the point of it. But there's this sort of dichotomy here, because on the one hand, the price isn't important on a day-to-day basis. On the other hand, of course, for Bitcoin to eventually become a competitor to other currencies, it has to accrue value. So in that sense, the price going up is a good sign, because the more valuable it gets, the more of a contender it is to play the role of some kind of new age currency, replacement currency for what we have. So that's why and it's kind of fun to wake up in the morning. I have this next to my bed and see.
Not stressful at all, right? To see the price fluctuate every morning. No.
Well, I find the crypto press so funny, right? Because it's full of articles, and I just always know whenever I read Bitcoin has crashed back down to 57, and you go and look at it, it's at 62, and then the next article says Bitcoin has jumped up to 64, and you go and look at it, it's at 60. So I don't know why any press would publish an article all about price, because at the rate that this stuff moves, it's irrelevant. By the time they've reported on it, it's already changed. But it makes for fun reading.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy this time because it's just it brings home how ludicrous human beings and their monetary systems really are.
Well, speaking of ludicrous system, did you see the Winklevoss firm Gemini returning $1 billion to its customers? This was
nice.
A 2022 crypto, maybe a scam, maybe just a big mistake. But
was it Genesis had gone bust, and they'd been relying on them to handle the.
It was an administrative error, I think, is what they said it was.
Yeah,
significant failure. Gemini's Earn program.
That's it. Yes, Gemini's Earn program, and there was like a whole court case going on. So I think they were throwing in an extra 300 million or something, weren't they, to kind of sweeten it?
Some significant number too. I'm sorry, another 700 million more. Another 700.
Oh, right, okay. I got the right order of magnitude, and that's what counts in these things, you know.
The burning question is, of course, does it put the two brothers on the poverty line? You know, I mean, that's what, because we should shed a tear for them as well.
That's right.
Cough up all that money.
It must be awful to get down to your last 100 million.
Yeah, I was going to say, right? But you got to give them credit. They were literally the first ones trying to do an EFT fund, and they got beaten out because the SEC said, "No, you're crazy. You don't know what you're doing." And then BlackRock BlackRock's like, "We want to have a fund." The SEC's like, "Oh, of course you can have a fund." Yeah. So they kind of got screwed, and that just shows you like where the real power is as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's very much a real power play.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they were starting. What did they get from the Zuckerberg settlement? Was it like 60 million or something like that?
No, I thought they got like a couple hundred million. I could be wrong.
Okay, but again, it's not. You know, we're not talking billions here, and they didn't get stock and things like that.
Yeah.
So they didn't get to go up on the elevator, and it just shows you how, you know, whenever you think like I'm a small fish, he's a big fish. The fact is that behind him, there's another even bigger fish, and it's.
That goes back to the power thing, right? Just because you have say 300 or 400 million, that doesn't mean the guy next to you doesn't have $1 billion, and the guy next to him has 2, and then 3, and it really does become this thing. Like when we talk to in certain regions, apparently the Illuminati. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to speak about sovereign wealth funds. I'm going to try it one more time. If they block us out, then I can't say anymore. But the lizard people in Illuminati don't like this talk. But anyway. You talk to sovereign wealth funds, and I asked them, like, what do they have? None of them have billions anymore. They all have trillions. Like, you go, so what do you have to invest? And they'll be like trillions. And I was talking to one last week when I was in Dubai, and I said, blah, 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 we're doing that. He said, oh, yeah, we can write a check for like, 100 million. I'm like, oh, cool. And I said, kidding around, like, that's what, one day's interest? He goes, yes. So understand the wealth now that you deal with is that, I think it was about 15 years ago when the Financial Times was the first time the Financial Times ever had an article that says yada, 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 1T, which is 1 trillion, which is, I think, the first time it was ever in print, right? And everybody's like, oh my God. So whatever comes after a trillion in about 10 years will be that next thing. But when you talk to them and, these companies are looking for whether it's 10 million, 100 or $1 billion, they're like, oh, it's $1 trillion. Like one family office I was talking to is like, we have $5 billion to deploy just for this fund. Oh, okay. Like no big deal. Just like, okay. Like, and we have another 5 when that's done. So the wealth that is out there now, and not because of these algorithms, the Bitcoins of the world, but real wealth, that if Bitcoin went to 0 tomorrow, these trillions would still be there. They're not Bitcoin millionaires or billionaires. They actually own and invest in things. So it's very interesting when you talk to them that their mindset. I said to them, are you in crypto at all? And they're like, why? Like the guy said, I don't care if it goes to $1 million. He says, why? It just doesn't, like he said, it's not a real asset. And there was a whole article the other day in the Financial Times that talked about stop calling crypto an asset. It's an algorithm.
Oh yeah,
asset,
Alphaville got
right?
Alphaville got really upset about it, didn't they? They was
Yeah.
I think they were calling it bullshit.
Yeah, basically. But if you think
Yeah.
about it, an asset is something I can physically touch, move. I can touch money. Like if I go to the bank tomorrow and withdraw it all, there's my right, an asset. Gold I can touch. If I have commodities like oil or
Barrels of
cattle,
oil. Yeah.
I can get them to deliver it to me, and I can touch my asset. Bitcoin or the crypto algorithms is the only, lack of a better term, asset that I cannot touch. It is make believe.
Well, there's other things though. I mean, what about publishing rights for music, for example?
Well, I can touch the music though. I can touch the sheets. I can touch. There's something still
Well,
there.
I can print you out a wallet, right, on paper. Now you've got the private key on it. I mean, it's
Right.
These things are data, right? I mean, Bitcoin is data, and you can print out the numbers if you really want. And in fact, it's meaningful to print out the private keys on a piece of paper if you want to be able to lock away the asset and not have to rely on the internet. You can print out music, of course, or you can play it, but that's a form of intellectual property. Having a patent which describes an invention, those can be worth billions.
Yes.
And you can't touch an idea, right? I mean, I would say that the ideas are actually worth more, but I would because I'm an inventor. So,
but to a point, they are. But the nice thing is, an idea then becomes something. And from the patent office, I get a little piece of paper that says you have an idea, and then I put that idea into play, whether it's a process or whatever. But somewhere along the line, it becomes some sort of, there's an asset. There's something you actually touch.
right.
We're still the crypto algorithms. One day, the governments wake up and they get annoyed because something happened. You know, someone had a brain fart like Trump. He's like, get rid of it. And they kill it. And it's like, then it's like, so what does everybody do then that has it at that point? It's not a stock, so to speak. It's not a bond. It's not a physical, it's not an apartment building. It's not a home. It's not a car. It's not artwork. It's just the government goes, we're killing it. And then what happens then? Now, maybe because BlackRock's involved, they won't. I don't know.
Well, I mean, firstly, killing it would require all the governments to collude. And that's never going to happen as planned. The second thing is, here's an example about assets. I own a house in central Finland. And the council recently decided that they want to widen the road because when it was built, they were coming to an eminent domain. Right. So they took 112 square meters off me, but they compensated me 50 cents per square meter.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
So that was something that I had. Except, of course, you don't own land. You don't own any of this stuff because ultimately there is an entity out there that is more powerful than you. That if they decide that it is legal for them to take it off you, then they will. Which, of course, ties right back into your original thing about where America is going to go, and in that you pass laws, and then you can do what you like. And so, all you get with a democratic government is a heads up. That maybe
if you're lucky,
you know, so it's time to pack your bags, take the valuable stuff that you can carry and leave. And actually, that makes Bitcoin very good because you can carry it in your head if you really have to.
I think that's a wonderful definition of a democratic government. Is a democratic government gives you by definition then a heads up, and that's it, nothing else. They don't offer you anything else in life, just a heads up.
I love it.
Well, let's go back to these sovereign wealth funds, Stephen, because it's interesting that you're talking about trillions there. What could they possibly want? What is the return on investment that they're looking for on their $5 billion? Then, I mean, what is the goal when you have that kind of money? What is the goal for your $5 billion chunk?
So it's interesting. Like when we talk to them, about you can talk tech, you can talk real estate, you can talk whatever. And at the end of the day, because I was like, so I mean, I know who they are, so I know what they have behind $5 billion. I was like, so like, like he goes, listen, he goes, we're an emerging market. He goes, we get like 8 to 12% on our money just sitting in a savings account here. Like in America, you get like 3%, right? So they're looking for anything better than that. So if you say to them, listen, I can get you 20% return on a real estate project, they'll listen. That's interesting, right? Because it's some sort of a safe asset. There's whatever. If you're a tech company, they look at anything in a tech company, unless you're established, a brand new startup or a couple-year-old startup. They look at that as I write you a check, whether it's for $1 or $500 million. I'm probably never going to see it. But if I do see it, in 5-10 years down the
Could go
road,
up.
I'm going to get 20, 30, 40, 50 times what I gave you.
Right.
And that's how they look at it. So to them, they want to make money. They do their due diligence, not like Singapore with FTX, where they just blindly gave them $290 million. They do their due diligence, but it's really if you lose $100 million, it's okay. Yesterday I made that up in interest. It's sort of like no big deal. So it's a very different mindset.
Just like a venture capitalist, and 100 projects, 99 are going to fail, and one's going to cover the rest.
But interesting though, they're very, very careful. They go A through Z, and they really want to make sure they understand it. They like the team, and when they write the check, they really do believe that you can get to the next level. But in the back of their minds, they're very much aware that if you don't, it's not okay, but it's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to your point, like they've invested in all this, so something will hit. They don't have all losers, and they'll have some that, for the baseball people out there, American baseball, singles and doubles, some triples, some home runs, and then out of 100 they'll have 4 or 5 grand slams, and those are the ones that literally just take their 100 million and give them 5 billion. But you have to.
Are they looking towards a digital future then, the blockchain?
Yes,
they're very, very blockchain orientated.
So Dubai and Saudi now are competing, for people that don't know, to be the #1 countries in the world when it comes to blockchain, digital currencies, and e-gaming, and the metaverse, and AR and VR. They are, because they realize they have to be more than oil and gas, right? So they are competing. Saudi's having something next week called Leap. Dubai has something every other week, and they are competing for companies, technology, and I don't want to say they're throwing money at you, but they're throwing money at you. They want to be the leader in that field, and Saudi is trying to become what Dubai is, and they're kind of like what Dubai is right now in the year 2000, and Dubai now is going quick, but at some point, Saudi will probably catch up. They're laxing their laws on certain things, where Dubai is very free. So it's like, where do you feel comfortable type of thing.
Gandalf, do you see that where the Middle East is making inroads into blockchain, and what kind of inroads are they making from a tech standpoint, from an influence standpoint?
Well, they're not approaching me and throwing money at me, but then I never ask them. And I do know about 15 words of Arabic, so
that's a good start.
Well, I can Wahad beer min fadluk. That's 1 beer, please, which shouldn't really be using in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
No, but you could define you could define it by putting a 0 at the end. We could say like 0 beer. Because everything's 0 these days, you see. So
I don't know 0. I haven't got round to that yet.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I've seen. Yeah, I have. I mean, I see people. That there's people I know who are off to Dubai who are doing stuff. I know, and there's quite a few Finnish people I know who are sort of building links over there. It's definitely. It's one of the kind of places you look if you're serious about moving away from the forest and the snow and going somewhere warmer. I don't know how my wife would feel if I suggested we move to the Middle East. She'd probably be okay with it. I mean, she'd like the idea of living somewhere where you could maybe actually have trees that grow fruit, and it's too dry, but you can water them there, and at least you've got the sunlight. But I don't really think in geographic terms myself. It's more about the individuals that I interact with, and I don't really care what nationality they are or where they're from or what language they speak, as long as we can find a way of communicating. So that's what I like about the space, is I've got connections on LinkedIn from pretty much everywhere in the world. It's been much more so than when I was working in satellite navigation, where it was basically everything was either Canada or the US. So this is better.
And everybody there is friendly, and it's safe. We were out at 2:00 one morning walking, coming back from the Churchill Club, and we passed these girls with their little Hermes whatever bag that's like $300,000 dripping in gold, And they probably had more accessories on them than buying a Rolls Royce. And there were three or four just walking, no big deal. Like there's, and I said to the guys at the hotel, and they're like, Steve, it's the safest city in the world. And it is. You can go out at any time. You don't have to, you don't worry about where you go. One of our friends took us to old Dubai, which I was like, really, there's an old Dubai. Old Dubai looks like new Dubai. But we went to one of the oldest Iranian restaurants from 1978. Some of the best food, friendliest people, could care less that we were American. But we did tell him we knew. But we did tell him we knew a guy from the Church of England. They go, bring him; he'll never leave alive. And I was like, good, David, you're coming to Dubai with me. But no, like everybody was very nice. Nobody cared. Everybody just gets along. It is. If you ever read the book Shangri-La, or you think of a utopia, this is the utopia. Now, granted, it's like Singapore. There's cameras on every street, and we're going and leaving Dubai. Don't need a passport. Once you go there once, it's all face. I walked into this time to Dubai. They saw my face. And they go, let you right in. And so if you're okay with all that biometric stuff, which I am, I figured the governments have it anyway. Who cares? And so it's very cool. So yeah, so like I said, I'm a big advocate for it. And if you're in a certain space, that's the place to go, I think. Especially if the blockchain and the crypto, I think over the next 5 years between they and Saudi and Abu Dhabi, if you will, are going to explode. And I think that's where people are going to be, whether they physically go there or they're setting up like a WeWorks type office so they can at least have a presence or a footprint there. I think that's kind of where everybody's going to head.
So Steve, from a assets perspective, what both you and Gandalf, if you don't mind, like what Gandalf to your knowledge, I think really, but what's your view on where these guys who have the cash are actually placing their funds right now? Like where they're guiding, because there's two sides of this. Everybody is so concerned about the technical. You were talking about the blockchain being such a risk. This is technical risk of potentially being shut down. And Gandalf, I know you're saying the fact that that's almost impossible, which I agree with you on. But the fact that there's all that risk around the technical, and there's obviously the conversation to have with the fact that do you really own the money? It's in your bank anyway, because all ones and zeros. Where are guys and girls putting their money right now? And I'm kind of more going towards property, resources, gold, silver, versus actual cash in the bank. What does that look like?
I have no idea. That's way out of my field.
All right. So my field. So here's what you got. Here's what you got going on. A lot of the people are opening up SFOs, which are single family offices in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. The bank accounts there, like I say, pay 2 to 3 times what they pay in America. So that's your A. B, a lot of people will buy real estate there because it just keeps appreciating. At some point, it'll come down, no big deal. And then a lot of people, because they want to hide their assets, will buy art. And I don't mean like, go down to the corner store and buy something for $90. They'll buy something for 1 to 20 million, hang it on your wall. It's an appreciating asset. If you ever have to leave in a hurry, you just roll it up and you walk out and you can go sell it wherever you want to go sell it. And then it's just the normal investments. I think right now, because there's such an instability on the planet with what's going to go on here in November and just elsewhere, people are looking for safe havens. And, I said to somebody, Dubai's a great place. They're like, oh my God, it's the Middle East. It's like being in New York City. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and granted that America's been here for a while, but America's shifting like it's never really shifted before. You know what I mean? It's like we're getting to the crazies. And so it's sort of like, I don't know if we're going to be safe, to everybody's point. Like, yeah, it's just numbers in the bank. And if Trump decides that tomorrow there's no more of that, then what do you do?
Yeah. And then is that why you're saying people are shifting their cash from the US, from various areas into places like Dubai? Because there's
Dubai, Monaco, yeah, all over. There's a lot of safe haven, and you still report it to the IRS. You still check the box, right? You're still going to say, I have assets outside the United States. You still pay your tax. It's not for hiding. Most of them are just trying to figure out a way to preserve it just in case.
Correct. Yeah.
Like the Americans I ran into, whether they like Trump or not, they were all like, we don't want to have everything in America right now. I'm like, I don't blame you. So, they even the guys who are pro-Trump are still like, just in case, because we had a discussion one night at dinner about 1939 Germany, and this is what it looks like, and he's telegraphing all this stuff. And one of them is like, he goes, they've moved a lot of assets outside the United States because of that. But even to Canada. Like they said, one guy says, I feel safe at least in Canada.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Under Trudeau?
Well,
Yeah, that was my next question, Michael.
listen, all I know about Canada is it's cold. And we have an art show called Canadian Art today. No, people are warm. The temperature. We do a Canadian art show today. Yesterday, when they were doing the show in Saskatchewan, I think he told me it was like -20 Fahrenheit. So I'm like, good luck with that. So that's cold. But yeah, so I think people are just starting as they get wealth to try to figure out how to preserve it. And I think with uncertainty, you try to look for the safest place, if you will, this week, and hopefully something for the next 20, 30, or 40 years. And I think it'll be an interesting run. And I think if you talk to most guys that have real money, billionaires, or maybe people with $500 million, you'll find that most of them don't have it all in one country. It's all over just in case. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't think you could bank in Swiss anymore, but go ahead, Dave.
Can I pose a question then to Keir? A lot of young people, certainly a lot of young people in Holland, are really heavily into all this, to the crypto coins. They feel that that's a much better place for them to make money, to save money, their pensions. I don't know what your thoughts are about that. It still seems to be a lot like the Wild West. So, I mean, and again, once you've got it, what do you do with it? You take it out of the exchange, you have to put it onto your bank. So because they all think nobody's going to see it. That seems to be the thing. So,
well, I'm not sure they all think that nobody's going to see it. It's,
maybe it's just the people I hang around with.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't use a transparent ledger that anybody can download and look at as a kind of storage place for hiding anything. So, I mean, and it's there forever, right? So all they have to do is work out some point in the next 30 years that string of letters and numbers is you, and they can see everything that you've done. So it doesn't make. This is why I find it funny when Christine Lagarde at the ECB goes on about how it's just for criminals. It's like any decent criminal will know that it's the stupidest way to transact. A much better thing is to get a suitcase full of euro notes and hand them over. I haven't polled young people recently about their crypto interests. I could see that they would be cynical about pensions because I'm Gen X and I'm completely cynical about pensions. It's the biggest rip-off I've seen in my life. I made a mistake in my 20s. I swallowed it. I sort of thought, and I put 20% of my income into pensions. Gotcha. It was a company called Equitable Life. Maybe that you remember that?
Yeah,
David?
yeah,
vaguely. Yeah, they went bust. So
and took you with them.
I got a third of it back, but you just kind of think the whole stuff that we were spun. So I think that there's enough of this kind of nonsense has happened, generation after generation. It's really only my grandparents and my parents who've done okay at a pension. So Gen X is the first ones who are getting ripped off by them. And you could have seen that coming because of the the birth rate bulge for the previous generation. And then Gen X shrank. So, the system of one generation supporting the next really only works if they're getting bigger all the time, which kind of sums up, I think, all of modern finance. It works if it just keeps getting bigger.
Right. It's like a big Ponzi scheme, really.
Well, it is.
You said it. You said it. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
And a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme, and they work in the short term as long as you get more people in. So as long as your population grows, or as long as you keep deflating the value of your currency, you can keep playing the game to the point where you can't sustain it anymore. Well, it's like is it the martingale strategy in gambling, right? Where you just you gamble red on the roulette table all the time, and if you lose, you double your stake, and you just keep doing that. Eventually, you're going to win, and then you make a $1 profit, and then you start again with $1 and $2, and it works brilliantly until you're unlucky and you get a run of 20 blacks when you've been betting on red all the time. And the thing is, people think, well, that's never going to happen, except it actually happens surprisingly more often than you'd think, and once it happens, you're wrecked. It's ruined.
And 2008 is the perfect example. of it happening.
Yeah.
It's like, that you kept putting the straw in the camel's back and kept putting it and kept putting it and kept putting it. And all of a sudden it broke and people were like, but how? I don't know, because you make $6 a year and you bought a $12 million house and you're only paying interest. And in 5 years, when the note actually comes due, you don't have the money. That's how. And people never thought of that. And I always tell people, Wall Street doesn't give a rat's ass about you. We had this dialogue when I was in Dubai with somebody, because they were like, what do you see coming up next? And I go, who cares? He goes, I don't understand. I go, don't you? I go, I read and follow everything. I said, I don't care what happens next. Do you know why? And he said, no. I said, because you are an ostrich. You are like everybody else on the planet. You will stick your head in the sand. You will not pay attention to what's going on. And whatever bag of shit I roll out, like collateralized mortgages or XYZ, Bitcoin, if you will, or whatever crap I want to roll out to you, the public, globally, you will swallow it hook, line, and sinker, because you don't know really what it is. Even an IPO in some of these companies or a SPAC, you shouldn't be buying into, but you will. And you know what? I don't care. I make money if it goes up, it goes down, or goes bust. So sitting on Wall Street globally, when we put something out to the public, nobody cares, because we know you're all stupid. I'm not, if you will, not you, but you know what I'm saying in general. And we just look at stupid people. They'll do whatever. And it's been that way since probably the late 80s, early 90s. Before Wall Street was very cut and dry, right? You put out an IPO, you did a bond, there was some stuff. Now you just throw shit out and that's it.
Well, everything's financial. I mean, that's they call it, right, the financialization of everything. And everything it becomes because you can slice it up and dice it into some sort of package it into some sort of derivative, and that just becomes what you push out to the public. So I think that's what we're getting at. And that's very unfortunate, because the financialization of everything shouldn't be. I mean, what do financial markets really add to the value of the real world?
Nothing.
Yeah, I have this. I always have this debate with people, and so I don't understand why you have a market system, like with the stocks and shares, where people are betting for it to go up as much as quickly as they're betting on it as that it goes down. It just seems to be
legalized gambling.
Yeah, and they said, no, it's not. It's all, there's something all behind it. I said, well, it just seems to me like a casino.
It is, and the thing is, the big institutions, the powerful banks, they're the house, right? They're taking the bigger.
Yeah.
And if you're an individual speculator, well, you're a punter. You're rolling up and hoping that you're going to win, and you might, right? And in fact, they want the odd random person to go in and win big, in the same way that casinos actually love it if somebody wins the jackpot, because they know that the news, PR, is going to bring in plenty more sales.
All the other ostriches show up.
Just like all the drugs that we found we found a container full of cocaine in Rotterdam Harbour.
Wait, what you did? Hold on.
He said, but what about the other 200,000 containers?
Right.
Oh, we haven't looked at those.
No.
Oh, okay.
You got to find one to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
I think there's a bigger thing here, Steve. I think you've pushed the button quite hard on the financial ostriches, but I think there's a bigger one here with a lot of sort of, whether it be political, whether it be pharmacological, like literally pharmaceutical, like depending what that looks like. I think we're all, to a large degree, starting to wake up to the fact that we've had the blinkers pulled over us from like literally wherever it started, like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. You pick a number and you'll get where the manipulation has started. And really, you're looking at those who know manipulating those who don't. And I think having the fact that as human beings, and kind of coming through our younger years, either relying on mom or relying on teacher or relying on, priest or whoever that is to tell us what to do, we're now relying on governments to do that. We're just kind of going, well, tell me what to do and I'll follow it. And I think that because it takes energy, it takes literally physical energy to kind of go, no, question, number one. And if I don't believe, what am I going to believe, in research to find something different? So I'd rather just, as you say, head in the sand, just go with the flow. But then I'll completely bitch about the fact that it's not working out my way and government's taking my money, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So, and that keeps me busy because it makes my mouth move. And I feel like I'm doing something in my own little space, but I'll just continue being the ostrich. And I think across the board, we all need to wake up a lot to the fact that is what's happening. and start asking the questions and continue to ask the questions, because that's then going to hold people accountable, and I think that's really what it boils down to.
But nobody wants to do that. It all goes back to people don't read, people don't think. I mean, you can go back and start looking where the shift was. I mean, there's a book, and I wish I could remember the name, but it talked about how they used to manipulate stocks from like the 1900s to 1930, before the SEC rules came into play. And it was just fascinating to read what they would do and how they would promote it. And like, I'm going to sell it to you for a nickel. You're going to sell it to this guy for a quarter. And then we're all going to dump it. And this guy's going to get it for $1. It was just unbelievable. And I look at it today and I'm like, nothing's changed. I mean, we have laws and it's very nice, but realistically, nothing has changed. It's the same. It's the same game, if you will. And it's just, we just do it more sophisticated now with these toys called computers. Where back in the day, it was, a guy going, you got 26 shares, and it's much, and I just laugh because it really is the same. And the problem is, like I said, when we talk about this on all our shows, people don't read, they don't know history, so it doesn't run.
Well, we had this in the UK in the 1700s, right, with the South Sea bubble and a whole bunch of them. And to the point where somebody will put an ad in the paper saying that we have a plan to do something in the South Sea, but no one is to know what it is. And people are all queuing up to say, take my money. And you see that still now. So nothing, in that sense, nothing changes. And the
tulips as well, right? Everybody was buying tulips at like $1, and in today's money, the tulips were as high as $30,000 in today's money when they did the analysis. And I'm thinking, it's a friggin' tulip. Go growing in the backyard.
Surprisingly shortly, though. It was like 3 or 4 years or less than that. I mean, it was really.
And of course, you can blame the Dutch, of course, for
well, we do. For
the exchange, stocks and shares. Give us some money now. We'll spend it, and then we'll bring something back, flog it, and you can have a little bit of the profit. That's basically how they worked it out.
Well, the Amsterdam markets in the 1600s was something else.
Yeah, isn't that the definition of a retirement fund, Dave? It's ludicrous.
No, but you see, retirement fund. That just those two words together. That's an oxymoron. Just the retirement and fund. Yeah, for somebody. I mean, I work for an investment an investment house that sold investments to wealthy people in Holland, and all they were concerned about were their commissions. They couldn't give a monkey, so they just wanted to make sure that everything was tickety-boo for a year until the clawback had passed, and then after that, they didn't care what was in the portfolio.
Financial advisors in the UK in the 90s, right? Same thing. They were on commission, and they wouldn't tell you. I mean, you could actually say to them, "Are you getting a commission for selling me this pension or this investment fund?" And then they would say, "Let me show you some more details."
Little bait and switch. It's like, don't look at this hand.
I think now they're legally required, but there's still plenty of them out there that are unreliable.
Well, they are under Dutch law if you are selling a product here, but the offshore boys, the international financial advisors, they don't have to tell you. They're not obliged to tell you what the commission is. No.
And just so you know, that's the way we like it. The more we can keep you guys in the dark, the more money we make, and so we all live on our yachts, and that's the way
we're all mushrooms, are we not? That's what happens at the end of the day.
Well, let me just say this before we start going, and we know Mr. Gandalf's going to leave us shortly. For people that are going to leak, he can stay for Lost and Found.
I do have to leave. I have to start preparing dinner for the kids. It's later here.
There you go. So my friend, it was a pleasure to have you. So we will see you, I guess, next month. We're going to run this little ad because for the people that are going to Leap in Saudi Arabia, these people are going to be there, and you may want to talk to them. And then when we come back, we'll do our usual whatchamacallit. So hold on, we have to pay another bill.
Thank you.
Making the right connections is vital to your business and professional success, but reaching out to strangers is awkward and mostly a waste of time and resources. Imagine a world where AI takes the hassle out of networking. Enter Hero, your noise-free professional network powered by AI. What's so cool about Hero? How about getting your own AI networking assistant that's dedicated to solving your challenges by handpicking connections and opportunities that are right for you? But Hero does more than just meaningful matchmaking. We equip you with a customized storefront accessible to anyone on or off the Hero network to help enhance your brand and boost your revenue, making it easy to turn those meaningful connections into valued customers, all within Hero. Hero is networking as it should be, meaningful conversations with well-meaning people without the noise.
All right.
Now, I will tell you something I do know about Hero, and it's not inside information. They have now a multilingual AI, so you can do business from, and not like an AI where whatever, but it knows the customs of the language and the people. So if you want to run an ad from America, let's say into Saudi Arabia or Finland or wherever, and you go run this ad, the AI will make sure that the ad is, I don't want to say compliant, but nice for them. Like, it won't be like, for the people that remember Ricardo Montalban doing the Chrysler LeBaron and talking about the Cordoba, the leather, the Corinthian leather, and it basically meant sweaty ass in Brazil, in Portuguese. This will make sure that doesn't happen. So for the kids that don't remember the Cordoba with Ricardo Montalban, you can look that up on the internet. So there you go.
And also, I think it's also in Brazil or somewhere. I think it's in Brazilian. That the Rabobank means something completely different that it does here in Holland.
Yes.
So they can look that up. So Rabo means
you know what time it is now, boys and girls? It is the Lost and Found time. David, you're going to take us to Lost and Found. This is very exciting. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Welcome to this week's Lost and Found, uncovering dollar winners and losers, where we discuss dollars lost and dollars gained by various companies and projects.
All right, let's start with Nick, then we'll go to Michael, then me, and then, of course, David is going to show us some video or some crap about the cow saving Pluto. Who knows, saving the sun. It's made out of batteries. This is going to be great. Nick, what do you have for us?
So mine's actually a bit of an interesting one. I actually wanted to create a little bit of engagement with our viewers. So it's more of a question. I've got my own views on it, but really it's all about debranding.
Okay.
So in at the moment, because of all the technical platforms that we're now working on, especially in the marketing space, there's this drive, and there's been a couple of years now where brands are debranding. So they've got this. Most people used to have this really beautiful technical logo. So the logo used to have multiple colors and used to have very fine lines. But now when you go into a cell phone, you go into any kind of a digital platform, the icons are so small that you can't recognize the brand anymore. So what they're doing is they're debranding it. They're making it a lot more chunky. So you'll see VW's done it, Audi's done it, McDonald's has definitely done it, Burger King's done it. So you can see all these brands are taking their logo and really sort of making them a lot more chunky and heavy. And one of the things I wanted to actually chat to our audience and have the audience comment is like what their thoughts on debranding is and where they kind of want to go with it. Because from a marketing perspective, it obviously works really nicely, especially from a digital perspective. But really, what does it look like when it comes to recognizing that brand? So it's a move that's been happening for a couple of years, but it's something that I wanted to engage with the audience from. So I've taken a slight left field there, but yeah.
All right.
Okay. So as a marketing and a brand guy, then is it a lost dollar or a found dollar? Because that's the bottom line.
For marketing guys like us, it's a found dollar because we're always making sure that we obviously have to just upgrade the brands.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's nice to figure out what the client's like.
There you go. Listen. He has a client that's paying him for a survey, and this is the easiest and most inexpensive way to do it.
Exactly.
We got 60,000. We have 60,000 subscribers. He's like, listen, come on, give Daddy some feedback. I got what he's doing. Let's
bring it in.
There you go, Mr. Michael. What do you have for us?
I got something for you from one of your favorite people, Elon Musk.
I know what you're going to say. It's the same one I have. I know what it is. Go ahead.
You know what it is?
You want me to tell you what it is?
Co-founder and early backer of OpenAI.
He's suing them.
He's suing them.
He's suing them.
Because he said that the founding agreement was that the technology was going to be, quote unquote, freely available to the public. Yep. He's got emails as evidence of that.
Yeah.
And apparently he's very upset that he put 44 million into the nonprofit in the early days, and now OpenAI is basically a for-profit arm of Microsoft.
Yes.
Makes a good point. But
Yep.
Sam Altman says he writes, or he said at a conference, "I like the dude. I think he's totally wrong about this stuff." So that's a very techie CEO response, I think.
And the best part is Musk allegations are found on the fact that OpenAI makes breakthrough that lead to the creation of AGI. Microsoft is not on the rights to the revolutionary technology. He also added that OpenAI's new broad, ill-equipped to determine OpenAI has attained AGI. It goes on this. The FT had it this morning. I got it. I figured you were going to get it as well. So we have the same one. So that was good. But yeah, he's going up like balls to the walls. He put 44 million in it in 2015. And it just goes to show he still has the little penis syndrome. Instead of talking to them like adults, he's going to sue them. So Elon, anytime you want to come on the show.
Yeah. So are we happy?
Are we happy?
Are we happy? Are we happy because he's pissed off, or should be crying because he's lost all that money he could have had if he'd have got his return on his 45?
Now this adds to the drama of OpenAI, so I think that's a found dollar for everybody.
A found dollar for everybody.
In a way of amusement, it's the funniest thing going on. Because anytime Elon opens his mouth, it's better than Saturday Night Live right now. So I'm good with it. So.
That's a lot.
So unfortunately, Michael and I had the same one. So David, it is up to you about a cow saving the sun. Go ahead.
No. I've got something. Oh, well, actually, very, very near to that, actually, Steve. Because I found this wonderful product. It's a wonderful product. And I just quite by accident, and then I kept bumping into it again. I thought, okay, let's have a look at that. It's cool. It's a hygiene product.
Of course it is.
And it's called Keep Earth Clean.
Oh,
it isn't Uranus soap, and it's. And their promo is the future is here, and it's time to get your arse act together with our Keep Earth Clean. It isn't Uranus soap, because when it comes to Uranus, you've got some cleaning up to do. So get ready for some lofty or some tasty. Get your tasty loofah and launch into action, and to remember to watch out for that proverbial black hole. Made in the US. This is a serious product.
I'm sorry. Yes,
made in the USA.
Of course,
crafted, alcohol-free, plant-based, vegan, no animal fats, made with natural oils, no palm oil, and for me, at $12.99 for a bar of soap.
Holy crap!
That's most definitely a found dollar, because
there's
enough.
And if those founders
just for the packaging.
Yeah, really. Listen, if the founders are watching, please feel free to come on the show.
You got to come on the show.
Soap. Yeah, you got to come on. We will dedicate a whole show to just your soap. You can
remember what it's called?
We'll links and
it's called Keep Earth Clean. It isn't Uranus soap, and you can look it up. It's not
Earth Clean.
It isn't Uranus.
David, have you reached out to them to say come on our show because we need to talk about Keep Earth Clean with Uranus soap?
I would just, as you know, Stephen,
I'm going to have a field day with that marketing strategy.
I was going to say, right?
You can find this stuff. The packaging is absolutely fantastic. I'll put it in the feed here for us.
Okay.
This is a serious business show, and you have to think to yourself, what you think? What are you doing? You're selling bars of soap, and which probably costs about 50 cents, and it's a 4.5 ounce bar of soap, and you're charging $13 for it. Happy days. Yeah. Because everybody's going to have a smile on their face when you give them for their birthday present.
Pay for a smile.
And
Well, just so you know, for all the kids that are listening, you could go on to Amazon, and you can get the Keep the Earth Clean. It's not Uranus T-shirt, because that's what I want my child to wear. No friggin' way. At $19, but I can't find the soap. So if you know anybody from Keep Earth clean. It's not Uranus. Feel free to have them reach us here at the show. We would like nothing more than to wear your shirt that day, use your soap, and have you come on and tell everybody for an hour why we should use your product. That will be the funniest hour ever. And please know that we are going to have a field day with it.
and you know, and of course we'll have to watch out for the proverbial black holes while the show is on.
Have to get the attorneys involved then. So,
but like I say, gentlemen, this is a serious business show, and so I needed to finish it off this week on that incredibly serious point.
It's nice to come back after a fortnight, and that's how we end the show. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, guys, it is always a pleasure. And everyone that's listening at 6 o'clock in the morning, New York time on the podcast. And if you're watching us at 6 in the morning, go back to your mistress. What the hell are you thinking? But don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends and the people from Uranus, either the planet or the soap. Feel free to reach out. And we'll see everybody, I think, next week. We're all here, correct?
Oh, yeah. We're all here.
Should all be there.
We're all here. Same time, same bat channel.
So. All clean and squeaky.
Welcome to this week's Lost and Found.
David, you got to learn to run